Om. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तं वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्. Right. So these are the topics today. So we'll start with the Gita Dhyanam. I will chant one sloka and then Lakshmi will chant Gita Panjamrit. Then we'll do a quick recap. Up to verse 6, we saw that is one logical topic. We'll anyway chant up to verse 5, and then 5 and 6 we'll quickly recap so that continuity is there. Then we'll enter into the next topic, which is from 7 to 11. I don't think we'll be able to see all the 5 verses today, but at least the majority of that we should be able to see today. Another important topic. So, as we discuss, it's good to have the structure of the chapter also in mind. That way, as we chant, we'll be able to enjoy it also with the meaning and so on. And also, chanting also becomes much easier once we know the meaning. Okay, I'll start with this. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Sunvanti Divyaistavai Devai Shankapadakrabopanisadai Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyanavastita Tadgadena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginah Yasyantam na vidusura suragana Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. Gita Panjamrit, Lakshmi can go ahead.
Hari Om. Uddharedatmanatmanam natmanamavasadayet atmaiva hyatmano bandhuho atmaiva ripuratmanah कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भूः मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्वकर्मणि यत्करोषि यदश्नासि यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत् यत्तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम् अनन्याश्चिन्तयन्तो मां ये जना पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम् सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः.
So tomorrow we are going to chant, as we all know, Samasti Gita, chapter 15, and also a lot of cultural program around the chapter 15. So whoever can make it, I hope all of you can make it, all the locals. If we can join there before 1:30, that will latest by 1:30, that'll be good. 1:45 the procession, and the 2 o'clock sharp the program starts and so on. And so if you can all make it, that'll be great. So, quick recap. So we'll chant first 5 verses. Lakshmi will chant, and then as I display verse by verse, I've also put the meaning also underneath. So if you can just quickly recollect the meaning, also that'll be good. With that way, the recap time will be less. We have a lot to cover, in this. I have packed a lot of things as usual in this class, and also subsequently also we have only 3 more Saturdays officially in May, because next week we'll not be able to meet because graduation is senior graduation is there in ashram and we have to be there, and so next week is ruled out next Saturday. So that leaves us only 3 Saturdays. So we may take one more Saturday before we, conclude the chapter, but I'll try to accommodate within our official schedule of 3 Saturdays. But given this, I'm packing a lot of things, so please come prepared to pay full attention as much as possible so that you'll be able to get the maximum out of it. Okay, good. While we are on that topic, actually, we had been planning to meet all of us who are there local for one Saturday, one of the Saturdays in the ashram. And because of Gita Panjamrit, we have not been meeting, in person. But nevertheless, actually, at least one Saturday we all will meet. The proposal is to plan for that on May 16th, Saturday. We'll send a poll, especially for the local people. Of course, we'll have the class. Online remote participants can join, but all the locals, if you can join, then we can just have a gathering and a small class, and then of course have some snacks or breakfast or whatever, and then just spend at least one day in a year like this. If all the locals can get together, that'll be great. So May 16 is the date. If depending on the poll, we'll decide that. All right, good. Okay. Now, these are all the topics. The first 4 topics we covered in the first 6 verses. Actually, if you look at it, it is actually in qualifications and Jnana Yoga. And as we discussed, this chapter is complete by itself and called as Shastra. As Bhagwan himself says in the 20th sloka. And of course, Jnana Yoga is the key topic. And of course, he's touched upon it after highlighting the challenges what we go through in samsara. So he has described samsara, and it describes the problem, and he describes what qualities we can develop and what is the solution for that. So then he goes into the next topic, Brahman as Jiva. So he takes Jiva, individual, all of us, and then analyzes and the transition what we go through from this life to next life and so on, which is what we're going to focus on today. And then, of course, other topics. So first, let us chant up to 5 verses. Lakshmi will chant, and then I will take it up from 5 and 6. Quickly recap, then enter into 7, 8, 9. Go ahead, Lakshmi.
श्रीभगवानुवाच ऊर्ध्वमूलमधः शाखम् अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित्. अधश्चोर्ध्वं प्रसृतास्तस्य शाखाः गुणप्रवृद्धा विषयप्रवालाः अधश्च मूलान्यनुसन्ततानि कर्मानुबन्धीनि मनुष्यलोके न रूपमस्येह ततोऽभलभ्यते नाम्तो न चादिर्न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा ततः पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यं यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूयः तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये यतः प्रवृत्ति प्रसृता पुराणी निर्मानमोहाजितसङ्गदोषा अध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामाः द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्ता सुखदुःखसङ्गैः गच्छन्त्यमूढा पदमव्ययं तत्.
So, very nice chanting. So, in verse 5, what are all the virtues we can develop? Just a sample is given. And we discussed this in detail. And we also add an acronym for this. We discussed this last week so that we can easily remember this virtues and try to practice that. And we created a table also, which I shared with all of you. And, with the acronym of freedom, each one representing the appropriate virtue, what Bhagavan says in the verse 5. F for Nirmana Moha, free from pride and delusion. R for Chitasanga Doshaha, like that. And I shared this, and also it will be a very easy 1 minute assessment at the end of the day for each of us to go through this freedom chart and then say yes or no. Did I follow this today? How did I do this one on today? And etc. etc. And at least if, as we said, we get one yes in per day, then we are making progress. So that way, I thought this table will be very useful to as a ready reckoner. I hope some of you have used this last week, and please, try to use this going forward also. And if you can share something, later or in the WhatsApp group about your experience, that would be good. Or if there's any refinement for this, I compiled it actually based on, of course, the teaching, so that it becomes easier for this as a scorecard for us daily basis. But if you want to improve something on this, then let's talk about it also. Okay. So that is the verse 5. Now, with that, these four major topics, subtopics under the qualification is discussed. And actually, if we practice this, then we can see the sadhana sadhusya also is embedded in this. So first, of course, we talked about dispassion in Sanga Satrena, Nidena Chitva in verse 3. Then, of course, surrender and Vedanta Vichara in verse 4, the Parimargitavyam. And then, of course, we just saw in the verse 5, the healthy virtues of develop. So those four bullets also, if you can remember, that will be great. And then that way you can map it to the verses also as we chant. Now, in the sixth verse, with the concluding for this subtopic, as Gurudev puts it, Bhagavan actually making an honest attempt to describe the goal. The goal is actually to attain Bhagavan, to attain the Swarupa of Bhagavan. But how do we actually, define that? It's very difficult. And so, because, no words can express. And that's why, Gurudev actually worded this way. Bhagavan is making an honest attempt to describe the goal. So, natat bhasayate suryah न शशाङ्को न पावकः यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम. So we discuss, of course, this sloka. Just to recap, Natad Bhasayate Suryaha. So Natad Bhasayate Suryaha is Suryaha Tad na Bhasayate. That sunlight does not illumine Brahman. It does not illumine consciousness. Because the sunlight itself is known because of consciousness only. We discussed this in detail. If A illumines B, then B actually cannot illumine. Illumine actually, we have to understand in the Vedantic context, it is illumining is actually it is making that object, unknown object, known. Okay, and in Vedanta, some of these words and all we'll have to look at differently, like real, unreal, and so on, vidya, and so on. So this is one of those light. So the ultimate light, of course, is consciousness. So that is what actually is trying to convey, which we saw. And not only sunlight cannot illumine, moon also cannot illumine, and fire also cannot illumine. And of course, in the Mandukya Upanishad and Kathopanishad, the mantra, which normally we chant, while doing the arti and all that, Natat Surya Bhatina Chandra Tarakam. There, apart from this Surya, Chandra, and fire, two other natural resources also used to show that even all those five major light source of light, like the uh, what do you call the lightning and also stars. Those are the other two, which is mentioned in other mantra, which we chant during the arti. So those are the five things that are taken, and then saying that none of that actually can illumine consciousness, because of consciousness only, even those are all illumining. So that is the message. And of course, Bhagavan in chapter 13 is already actually highlighted. Brahman is the light of the light. Jyotisham Mati Tat Jyotihi. So that actually is highlighted there. And of course, we also chant in our regular meditative verses also, Antar Jyoti, and so on. So this point actually we discussed, and then of course this is for the first line. I just taken only Surya Natatra Surya Bhatina, and we can also apply the same logic with Chandran and Moon and fire also. Then the second line actually talks about Yadgatva na Nivartante. So once actually we go there, quote unquote going, then we don't return. Once we know about our nature of our Bhagavan, which is our true nature, then there's no question of coming back, because nothing going is not involved in this. It is actually knowing, and what is dropping the ignorance uh, of we not knowing our true self. That is what is needed actually. Our true self is only with us. It's something like the glasses are here and I'm searching, and then somebody has to say, no, no, you are ignorant where it is, so and I know, then it is there. So like that, we discuss this, and that is why the going is, even though is used here, we have to understand that there's no physical going per se. In fact, Purva Pakshi asks in the Sankara Bhashya, Purva Pakshi asks, which we saw also. So how can you claim reaching that abode as no return? Because any going will always have a return also. So then, we saw that going actually is not really traveling. It is actually removal of the ignorance. So that's how we are attained. And once, of course, we know our true self, then we are out of samsara. Then there's no question of going back to samsara. So that is the implied meaning. So that with that, actually, we completed that topics, and the revision also. very important first six of set of slokas. Of course, all the 20 slokas are important, but this being the Shastra by itself, has packed a lot of information, in this each one of these verses, and that way good to have the topic wise. So first six verses is a problem definition and the qualities what we develop to address the problem and the end game, what is actually we will achieve. So that is first six slokas. Then he gets into the next topic. Um, because in the previous one, that paramam, you don't return. Once you reach there, you don't return. Then picking up from there, Shankaracharya, actually leads to the seventh verse. Now, to prove that actually, Bhagwan, why he said it is going, literally not traveling, because the the Dhamam, the goal, is our inner divinity. So it is with us already. So it's a question of actually knowing that inner divinity is same as Bhagwan. That is what actually is going means. That is actually the first line of the seventh sloka, and from there he starts and then explains the whole journey of jiva. Very interesting topic, and that is why actually I've given the Mananam topic also last week, and we'll talk about that also during our topic for Mananam. So those who have reflected on it and shared or those who read the reflection will be able to even more follow very clearly on what Bhagavan is going to talk in the next few slokas. So 7 to 11, the five slokas are all about journey of jiva, with the first line of the seventh sloka, the very first line, talking about Brahman is in the form of jiva. In each one of us, our inner divinity is Bhagwan. And that Bhagwan is actually all pervading and God of pure consciousness. And that Bhagwan only is there as inner divinity in us. That is the first line. And then second line onwards, the journey of Jiva. Now, so I'll give you some more background in terms of some of these concepts, what is talked about in this journey. That way, it'll be easy when we go into the sloka. It'll be very easy. By the way, the 7, 8, 9, it's kind of tricky slokas because it's kind of we have to rearrange to get the meaning. So that's why please pay full attention. And I know as we have been chanting, we may not have paid much attention, but once we know the meaning now, from now onwards, you'll be able to even, understand what Bhagwan is conveying, and that way it will be able to sink in also. Now, so what are some of the couple of concepts I want to just take it first. First, let us chant these three slokas, 7, 8, 9 together. Because as I said, they're all mixed up, so we have to rearrange that. So we'll go through that process, but let us chant together. I will chant and you all can actually chant in mute. ममैवांशो जीवलोके जीवभूतः सनातनः मनःषष्ठानीन्द्रियाणि प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति शरीरं यदवाप्नोति यच्चाप्युत्क्रामतीश्वरः गृहीत्वैतानि संयाति वायुर्गन्धानि वाशयात् श्रोत्रं चक्षुस्पर्शनं च रसनं घ्राणमेव च अधिष्ठाय मनश्चायं विषयानुपसेवते. As I said, these three verses go together, and we will soon find out why they go together. And in fact, the 10 and 11 also, same topic, but at least that we can actually treat it as a subtopic. But these three we need to see together. We'll see why. Some of the concepts, some of course, most of you will be familiar with this. Our body, we can actually look at it from different ways. One of the ways to body is analyzed is that we have the gross body, that the skin and all these gross things, and the bones and so on, so on. That is actually called Annamaya also when we look at from the five koshas perspective, five sheaths perspective. I'm just going at a very, very high level. Those who are not familiar, the fundamental text actually, deals with all these things, like self-unfoldment onwards. Gross body. Then we have subtle body. Subtle body actually, includes, in simple terms, our mind. And pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya. So our mind includes, of course, the intellect also. All the pranas, the five pranas. So that is subtle body. Then the causal body. The causal body includes all the vasanas, ignorance, and so on, and which is called karana sarira, another English, which is because of vasana and the ignorance only, we get these other bodies. So we have to now here what is referred here in slokas and all this, more of this subtle body, and causal body. And the Jiva journey we are going to talk about is actually, the gross body, of course, at the time of death, the gross body is left here. We all know. And then there is something travels outside this at the time of death, outside this body. And that is this package. And what is this package? Which consists of subtle body and so on, which we are going to see that. Bhagavan also is going to say that. And he's going to describe the whole journey. So very interesting. Now, there other concept actually what we have to remember is what is this jiva? And in simple pictorial term, I brought it here. See, this is all-pervading consciousness. Brahman is there everywhere, and Brahman, truth, Bhagwan, and so on, all-pervading, right? And our body by itself is inert. We all know that, it's all gross body, and also even mind and intellect are also inert only. But when they come together, then the jiva is born. Because mind has the capability to reflect the consciousness, then the reflection is called a reflected consciousness, and that actually enlivens the mind, and also mind in turn enlivens the body. So then jiva is born. So if you really look at the components of jiva, at a high level, you can think of five components of this jiva. Jiva, you can say is individual, that you, me, and you put your name, put my name, and so on. That individual has got these five components. What are they? We have the gross body. Then, as we saw the subtle body, that with the mind, intellect, and so on. And then the causal body, for each one of us have our own, bank account of vasanas, and also the ignorance that, I am this body, that actually, shielding our true self. Of course, the reflected consciousness, because of the reflection only, we get the sentiency, and that is the reflected in other words, technical name is Siddhabhasha. And then, of course, the consciousness, which is all pervading, and it's there everywhere. It's infinite. So you should remember this. Now, um, so at the time of death, what happens? But before that, now this jiva term, we'll have to be careful when we read our shastra. This jiva is used in different contexts to represent one or more of this in different contexts. So that way, we'll have to be aware that, like Atma. Atma also, you might have found out by this time, sometime Atma actually refers to the real consciousness, the inner divinity, which is same as Brahman, which is the pure consciousness, all pervading. That is one definition. But sometimes Atma will refer to body, Atma will refer to mind, and so on, so on. So depending on the context, like that, jiva also sometimes it is used for the individual with all these five things put together. That package is jiva, and sometimes one of this or more of this, or sometimes all of this is represented as jiva also. That also you should remember. Now, in our definition, we'll see what actually travels, and we are going to refer that as jiva. And what travels is after death, the gross body is left here, as we know. Um, so that is left here, and that is, of course, decaying and so on, so on. And the next day itself, like Adi Shankaracharya says in Bhajagovindam, even wife wants to get rid of, or spouse also wants to get rid of the body. Because there's no sentiency there. Now, the sentiency, which is actually the Siddhabhasa, the reflected consciousness, along with the subtle body, which means causal body also, that's why I colored it differently, that packet travels. Um, and that, but what about consciousness? Conscious doesn't travel? No, it does not travel because it's all pervading, it's there everywhere. So where the need for traveling, right? So that way consciousness does not travel, but this packet called subtle body, causal body, Chidabhasi, that put together it travels. And because in that context we can use jiva for that. That combination of subtle body and causal body and Siddhavasa, because subsequent slokas are also going to talk about that. And then when it travels, then it finds another body depending upon our karma. So let's go to the next concept. So depending upon the karma balance, the karma phala balance, what we have in this birth, at the end of the birth, that is when it's time, the expiry date has come, which we don't know, but it comes, right? So when that expiry date comes, then Bhagwan sees the closing balance in our account, in the individual account. It's invisible to us, right? But he sees that. And then depending upon that, this package goes and takes the another body, right? And what is that other body? Other body could be a human being, or it could be a tree, or it could be a mosquito, or it could be one of the devas, or it could be going back below the patala and all that. So depending upon our balance, to exhaust that part of the vasana, and of course, obviously, you will be given the appropriate body also. For the next birth, depending upon vasana, what you want to exhaust, right? And also, when the subtle body goes, the subtle body consists of, which Bhagavan himself is going to say, our sense organs, the faculty to see, the faculty to touch, the faculty to hear, faculty to smell, faculty to taste, and so on, and the mind, right? That's a package. That package goes, and when it finds the appropriate body, depending upon our closing balance for the next birth, then this packet, like we move from one house to another house or one location to another location, we put package everything and then put it in the truck and then go there. And then again, when the truck arrives there in the new location, new house, then we unload. And then we, kind of put the appropriate thing in the appropriate places. That kind of thing happens there. Then the sense organs, for example, the eyes goes to the socket there in that birth, and so on. But depending on the birth, for example, if my next birth is happens to be the tree, then there's no function needed for the eyes, right? Only the faculty of the skin is needed, right? So that is dormant. The faculty of the eyes is dormant. The faculty of the ear is dormant. If I am born as a tree, like that, Bhagwan has designed it, perfectly. So this is another concept which we should remember. Okay, now keep these three pictures in your mind. The three slides, what I said, this one and the previous one, Jiva, and also the prior to that is the three bodies, and more importantly, the subtle body. So, with this background, let us enter into the three verses. And out of the three verses, let us take the first two verses. Checking the time, we are good. Um, so let us take this. Please pay attention because again we have been all chanting it, but without actually not going into this level of depth of meaning, right? But once we understand the depth, then as I said, you'll enjoy it more. And Bhagavan, of all the slokas, in most of the chapters, with these two slokas, he has kind of juggled in such a way that, it's because Jiva is very complex, right? So he has made it also complex. But once we figure it out, then it is easier. So what I've done for easy understanding, I have done a lot of homework. As you can see, I color coded it. And the color coding represents the sequence in which actually we'll have to understand this, right? For example, A is Mame Vamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, right? Then that dark blue is verse 8, the second quarter of verse 8. So you can understand that the line 1, line 2, and then line 1, line 2 of each of these slokas. Then each line has got two quarters. Mamevam Sho Jiva Loke. That is first quarter of the seventh mantra, seventh sloka. Then Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. That is the second quarter of the seventh sloka, like that. Right. There are four quarters in each sloka. Now, so what I've color coded it when you go through the color coding. So first you take A, which is the first line of the seventh sloka. We'll see the meaning, but I'm just giving you a flow. So Mamavam Sho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. That is first. Then you go to the second quarter of the eighth sloka. Echa Vyutkrama Ishvaraha. That is the second thing you have to pick it up. Then come back to the seventh sloka, the second line. Manashasthani Indriyani Prakritisthani Karshati. So that is the next sentence to pick up. And then go to D, which is actually verse 8, sloka 8, in the third quarter. What is that? Grihit Vaithani Sayati. That's why I color coded like that. Okay. So like that. Now, if you go in this sequence, then the meaning becomes, very easy to remember. And that is the way actually it has to be understood also. Right. Now, what I will do, I'll just first give you the meaning in the running, sentence, rearranging these the slokas quarter wise, line wise, and all that as per this description. Then we'll go each one of these color coded item and then see the breakup and then meaning and so on, and again put together all this meaning. That way it'll register in our mind. Okay, so please pay attention. Um, so first, let us take the total meaning. If I put all these things, in these two slokas together, what does that mean? The first line, Mame Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. In this world of living beings, an eternal part of me only becomes the individual jiva. Bhagavan first declares that jiva is nothing but me only. Because he says a part of me, but what is that part of me? How we are to understand? We'll see that. That part of him is actually has become jiva. That is the first line. That's why the Brahman as jiva. That sentence I put there as a title there in the up at the top. Then, okay, that first statement he made. Now, having part of him has become the individual jiva, what the jiva does is starts traveling. Of course, as long as he is in this jiva, he is enjoying, he or she is enjoying. When he leaves the body, that is this B, this dark blue, when he leaves the body, he pulls all the five sense organs along with the mind, which is there in the current body. Then he takes them along and moves just as the wind takes the fragrance from the flower, but leaves the flower. It leaves the flower back, but just takes the flower fragrance alone from the flower, um, and the wind travels like that. This jiva pulls these all these sense organs along with the mind from the current body, and then moves to the next body. When the jiva acquires the next body, up to this is the eighth sloka. Then the ninth sloka comes, unpacking and settling. Okay? That's why we chanted all together. So I didn't want to bring a ninth sloka also, and then but you understand that ninth sloka is easier because once we reach there, we unpack and put everything in the appropriate places, and it takes its own time to come to life and so on. Like the baby actually, the moment baby is born, after it takes some few weeks to. Gurudev is going to say, we're going to see a video clip also. So that is the ninth sloka. But let's understand first this part of it, the seventh and eighth sloka. Okay. Now we are going to go through each one of these item and then break up and then see the meaning and then come back again to this slide. That way we'll be able to understand before we go to the ninth sloka. So I want to complete up to ninth sloka today, so that logically it is registering. Now, any question so far? Because I want all of us to attend fully because to get the best out of it.
Uh, what happens if it's a Jivan Mukta to his subtle body?
Yes, good question.
Is our
Shivanand,
power.
yeah, we will discuss that. That is actually the 11th sloka. The out of the 7 to 9, 7 to 11, 7, 8, 9 talks about the jiva journey, and then the 10th sloka, which we'll see next week, talks about the people like you and me, ignorant people. And then 11th sloka talks about what happens to the jnani. So, okay, in short answer is the subtle body, what is actually carried forward, that is burned. There's no subtle body, there's no cosmic body. It is merges with the all-pervading consciousness, and hence there is no question of rebirth. Now, why the subtle body actually burns? Because there's no closing balance. The closing balance of all of our karma, Sanjita karma and Agami karma, Prarabdha karma is exhausted in this birth, as we all know, because the body is gone. But Prarabdha karma is for the body. But the closing balance has got two components, which is actually merged into one component for the next birth, which is Sanjita karma. That balance is actually gone for Jnani, this birth. Once he or she gets the Videha Mukti, that is, once he leaves the body, then the account is zeroized. And hence, there's no question of rebirth, is already merged. So the subtle body doesn't, there's no jiva to travel. I hope that answers, but we'll see that. Got it?
Yes, thank you
Shivaji,
so much.
Hari Om Shivaji, Shyam, I have a question too. Earlier you were talking about illuminating, and you were talking about illuminating as a source of knowledge, essentially.
Yes. Right.
Is it a source of knowledge, or is it the agency that enables the function?
Yeah. Now, the knowledge here is knowing about that particular thing. So it is kind of you can, like you worded, you can say it is an agent, because of this light, I'm able to see this, like that, because of the presence of electricity, the fan is running.
Right.
Like that, that is the way actually. So the electricity is illumining this fan, like that you can understand. I
Okay.
hope that.
Okay. So electricity is what makes the fan work.
Yes.
So
In
in
the
the same
presence of
way,
electricity.
Brahman is what makes the sun work, the moon work, and the fire and all those things.
Only thing, we can slightly change the word. In the presence of electricity, the fan runs. So in the presence of Brahman, those things happens. So in the presence.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Good. Good. Um, let's go back. Are you able to see the full screen?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
good. That's excellent. Okay. So, I'm just taking the time. Actually, we may not be able to do meditation because I want to logically, register that in our mind. This is once we lose the continuity for next week, it then takes time to warm up. So let's see how it goes. So this is the overall meaning. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to dive deeper into each one of these line. I will just show, of course, the we can talk on each one of these actually for a long time also, but I will just give you a run through. So let's take first line, that is the A, which is the seventh sloka, line number 1, which is the first line of this seventh sloka, which is Mamaivaamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. So let's take that. And then, of course, the next one we'll take the B and so on. Okay. So I've taken this from verse 7, line 1. Mamaivaamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. That is colored in black. So I rearrange that in the prose order. This is itself is a great exercise for all of us. When we want to learn little more detail, the sloka, of course, you bring Sanskrit. You mix up words, and every word, any word can come anywhere, and so on, right? So we'll have to first of all actually split the word and then rearranged it in the prose order so that we'll be able to make sense out of it, the sentence out of it, right? So, I've just given an example here. So, Mamaivaamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. Then how, if you have to split the word and then rearrange in the prose order, this is how it will be looking. We have to supply something also. Asmin, in this world. Jiva Loke, in this world, Mama Eva Sanatanaha Amsha Jiva Bhutaha. So that is how actually the prose order is. Now, what does it mean? In this world of living beings, Jiva Loke, living beings, Jiva Loke, in this world of living beings, Mama Eva Sanatanaha, then my eternal part, Bhavan is of course eternal, right? But is part of him only becomes individual. Amshaha Jiva Bhutaha. This Jiva Bhuta, the inner divinity in us, is part of him only, right? And that is what he's trying to communicate. And in other words, our true nature is nothing but his true nature. His true nature only is actually appearing as our inner divinity. It is part of him only. Now, one thing, because he says part, we'll have to be careful. And of course, Adi Shankaracharya ji elaborates that with the examples. And I will take a couple of examples just to highlight. When we say part, normally what we understand, say, okay, so this cap is the part of this pen. When we say part, that means actually, it can be taken out. It can be totally destroyed. This is also can be destroyed, or this can be used separately, it can be used separately, and so on, so on. That's how we understand the part. But that is not actually what is meant here. It is the example given is one of the examples is the space. The space, which is the subtlest form we know. Of course, consciousness is even subtler than that. But the space is looks to be a room space in this room. It looks to be as if it is a part of the total space because I put the conditioning, these four walls I put. But it looks to be part of the total space, and I conditioned it to show that it is room space. Similarly, part space, and so on. But actually, is this space, is it a part of the total space, or it is that the total space only? I just called it as room space. Second is true. It is this, there's no question of actually breaking this space. The space is all one only. Now we just put some walls and we are calling it as actually a room space. And that is the way actually we'll have to understand this inner divinity in us, which is same as Bhagwan. But even though it is said as part, it is actually the total consciousness is conditioned with this body, mind, intellect complex in this house. So, in other words, our true self, our Jiva's true self, is same as Paramatma's true self also. Our Jivatma is same as Paramatma. So that part actually is establishing in this one line. A lot of commentaries there, but I think you get it. If any questions, then towards the end we'll see that. Then, having understood this is one particular teaching, right? Then the next teaching, then how the Jiva journey takes place, starts from the B onwards. B to F is the journey, right? And then ninth sloka will talk about settling down in the new body. So, but here in these two slokas, B, C, D, E, F is the journey. Now, what is B? B is here, Yachapit Krama Dishwaraha. If you split that, Yataha Cha Api Utkramati Ishwaraha. Utkramati, leaving. Yacha Api. So also when he leaves this particular jiva, which actually, as part of Bhagwan, this jiva, that package, when he leaves the body, well, here he is mentioned as Ishvaraha. Ishvara is actually here to be understood as the Lord of this body. Not the Bhagwan. Here, Bhagwan is actually for Bhagwan of this body. So that that's what we represent, that he or she. Okay? That jiva, when he leaves this particular body, it goes with the package, as I said, subtle body, causal body, and of course the reflector conscious. That package goes where? Even it leaves the body, then that is B, then go to C. C is the line 2 of verse 7. Mana shashtani indriyani prakritisthani kasyati. What are all the things actually this jiva, when he leaves the body, what are all the things he or she take it? It takes, it pulls all the five sense organs, the faculty, it doesn't pull the eye, it doesn't pull the ear, the physically, but for every sense organs, as we all know, there is a faculty behind it, right? That is called sense organs. Without that, if you take the eye, golaka, keep it separately, it won't function, right? We all know. So, but the sense organs, the faculties which actually make this eyes to see, ear to hear, and skin to touch, and so on, that faculty is called the indriyani, jnana-indriyanis. That indriyanis, along with the mind, prakritisthani, which are residing in this body, prakritisthani, it is there in this body, darsati, it pulls. Darsati, what are the things it pulls? Manaha, shashtani, indriyani. That is, including mind. Indriyani is five faculties. Shashtani, all put together, six of them. It packages, and then which reside in this body, and then that is what actually he takes it and then goes. That is so far C. Then D is he goes. Gritvaitani sanyati. So the anvaya for that is yatanim grihitva sanyati. He goes taking these organs. And like what? Like the Vayur Gandhani Vashayat. Like the Vayu Gandhan Eva Ashayat. That is, just as the wind moves with the fragrance from the wind, actually, just as it moves, it takes the fragrance from the flower, leaves the flower. Only the fragrance it takes and then goes. Like that, this jiva, it takes the fragrance. In this case, the fragrance is the subtle body and that package what I talked about. That package only it takes, leaves the flower, it leaves the body. And of course, in our example, the body becomes insentient, and of course it decays also, right? Very soon. And flower may be there, but we should not extend the example too much. But you understand, when wind takes the fragrance, from the flower, like that, this jiva takes this package and then moves. Yeah, so he has given that example. The beautiful example, this is one of the closest example what we can think of to highlight that jiva taking this package and then moving. Then the last sentence is the blue, which is shariram edavapnoti. It is yetani kritva saya. No, I didn't. Sorry, this is the wrong one where I didn't change the. Anyway, shariram, when he acquires the new body, that's what is the second line is. You please ignore that. I took it from the previous one. I should have changed it. Shariram, so when the jiva actually, when it moves from this body, pulling out all the sense organs and the mind, etc., the subtle body, it takes it and then keeps moving. Then it finds the other body. How it finds the other body? Depending upon the closing balance, right? What is that body? Depends upon the closing balance. Then it finds that body which actually, can accommodate this closing balance, whatever the vasanas to be exhausted and all that for the next birth. And in that birth, in that body, it starts opening the packages. That is ninth sloka. So that is how it has to be understood. That's why I explained this. So once again, putting all these pieces to put together, I'll share the slide. It'll be useful for while you're chanting also. You can do some homework and then register this. But to simplify, you can just say that the 7 and 8 is talking about the heart of Bhagwan, who is Jiva. So actually, that one message is that Jiva and Jivatma and Paramatma is same. That is one message. Second message is this Jiva, when he starts the journey, that is when he or she starts moving from this body, current body, to the next body, it takes all the subtle body things and all along with it, and then finds the other body. And then on the ninth sloka, once it finds the other body, it unpacks and then settles. That is what actually in the 7th and 8th slokas are there. Then I will just go through the ninth sloka, which is easier, and then we'll talk about any questions. So in the ninth sloka, then all the package has to be unpacked, right? And what is there in the package? We have the faculty for seeing, faculty for hearing, faculty for smelling, etc., right? And the mind, etc. So all these things have to be put in the appropriate locations when we move from one house to another house. That's what in ninth sloka he is doing it. Shotram Chakshusparshanam cha Rasanam Granameva cha Adhisthaya Manaschayam Vishayanupasevate. I'll give the word level meaning, very easy to follow. Stotram, the English also is given those who want to see the English term. Stotram is the ear, and Chakshu is the eye, then Sparshanam, the organ of touch. Again, when we say ear, the organ of hearing, organ of seeing, and so on, the faculty, not the golakas. And Rasanam, the organ of taste, Dhanam, which is the organ of smelling, etc. Adhisthaya, once he unpacks, then of course, the inner divinity there in that other body presides over those sense organs, of course, the mind also, and then starts enjoying the next birth. Vishayan upasevate. Whatever is relevant for the next birth. If it is a tree, of course, it enjoys sunlight or whatever. If it is a mosquito, it enjoys whatever, maybe depending on the birth, next birth. Actually, it enjoys the appropriate objects, appropriate vishayas. So that is the settling part of it in the next body. 7 and 8 is for unpacking and moving, and ninth is for settling down in the next body. Now, this again, like Shiva pointed out, it is only for the people who still have the Sanjita karma to be exhausted. The opening balance, the closing balance of the previous birth is still, balance is there. And if that balance is zero, then of course, the going to next body does not apply. So that is the 7, 8, 9 combination. We'll see the video. Then we'll have one more slide, and after that, I'll open up for any discussions. I don't think we can have the meditation. We'll see that. So he talks about, Gurudev actually talks about this journey. Very nicely he puts it.
So having thus these faculties of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting.
By the way, are you able to hear the sound?
Yes.
Yes, Shivaji.
Yes, Shiva.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
Shivaji.
Excellent. So he's talking about the unpacking, packing and unpacking.
Thus these faculties of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, Shrotram, Chakshu, Shrotram ears, Chakshu eyes, Sparshanam touch, Granam smelling. All these faculties are placed in these various appropriate centers of sense organs in the new body. And all those who are children, specialists in children, they know, and the parents also know, that a newborn baby has neither the power of seeing or hearing or smelling or tasting or touching. He is deaf, dumb, blind, the newborn baby. Why? You have only just shifted to the new place. Your luggage is not even open. There is nothing to sleep on. In the new house, there is nothing. You have to slowly open up, and then cutlery, crockery in the dining room, the table, and things. Everything will be spread. But it takes time. In the same way, the child, as soon as it's born, it has no capacity. It takes a few weeks. We can see, hear, understand the direction, smell, taste, touch. It takes time. Slowly, slowly the faculties become well fixed up in the appropriate place. Adhisthaya, all of them spread out in the various sense organs, these faculties, and I are presiding over them. Vishayan upasevate, the same mind and intellect which was in the previous body, now in the new environment, ordered by your own vasanas, with these faculties of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. Vishayan, sense objects, objects of name, form and color, sound, smell, taste, touch, all these objects, upasevate, enjoys.
Yep.
Having
So that is how actually, the seventh, eighth, ninth sloka describes about the journey of this jiva. This journey, of course, keeps on continuing, birth, death, rebirth, and birth, death, and so on. And obviously, there is to be a solution to come out of this, and that is where the jnani comes into picture. And how does he come out of this? He or she come out of this loop? Because the Sanjita Karma, the closing balance is zeroized. How is it zeroized? Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. In this birth itself, actually, we are able to understand that we are not this body, mind, intellect complex, but we are that true self, the inner divinity, which is same as Bhagwan, which is same as Brahman. And that realization takes place, right? And how do we do that? Of course, like we discussed in the last class, Pratibodha Viditam Matam. Every action, every experience, if we are able to exercise that Sakshi Bhava and able to permanently abide in the Sakshi Bhava and then carry out the transactions. We work from joy, not for joy. We work from happiness, not for happiness. If that state is permanent, then we are actually, attaining that moksha in this birth itself. And then, of course, we'll exhaust the prarabdha karma for the body in this birth. That's why, even though nanis and all suffering from various body pain and all that, they have to go through that. Our Gurudev also went through that, right? And then once, of course, he leaves the body, then there's nothing, he just merges with the Brahman because there's no package left for, there's no closing balance left for Nani. So that is the now in the journey, as I said, is described here in 7, 8, 9. Then 10 will say the ignorant people, they don't know this, that these are all the things happening. This journey, about this journey also they don't know. But actually the wise people, they know that actually this journey is there for the ignorant people. And hence they are wise people. And that's the 10th and 11th sloka. That will complete this topic, which we'll see. That's a very easy sloka, like the ninth one, that we'll see in the next class. And then go into the next topic. What is the next topic? Oh, no, before that. Well, the next topic is actually on, now that, Bhagavan talked about the jiva, the individual being, right? And the journey that takes place. Then the next topic from 12th onwards, 12 to 15, he talks about Bhagavan's glory as in the Vishwarupa, that is in the entire universe is his body. That aspect actually he brings out in the next topic. He talks about Jiva now in from 7 to 11. Then 12 to 15 is about him being the universe. And then, of course, the other last topic is from upwards. A couple of topics is there, but we'll see that. Now, so 7, 8, 9, what we have studied, I was actually thinking of, what is that actually we can take away from this journey, Jiva's journey. We have 5 more minutes. Let me just go through some of the tips, actually, what we discussed in our course. As Acharya Ji will give an exercise, what is that actually you are taking away from what the lesson you are learning? Like that for each one of this topic, he'll drill us. And so we kind of put together a set of takeaways. This is a journey. This journey is something unique journey, as we know. We know international travel, all this space travel and everything and all that. But this journey is something beyond all those things. But there is a lesson to be learned. Having known this journey is there, and if it will happen to each one of us, then there is a lesson to be learned, right? And how actually we can make our existing time, whatever we have, how best actually we can make use of it, knowing that there is a journey that's coming up, this journey that is coming up. So that actually some bullets I created. We call it as a traveling tips. Minimize the possessions. See, we know only the subtle body travels. When we leave this body, only the subtle body lives, right? Bhagavan himself has explained it so nicely. So all these possessions, of course, we need to have a minimum requirement, right? But once we have a minimum requirement, then we focus on exhausting our Sanjita karma and avoiding agama karma rather than accumulating things, right? So that is one tip. We have to travel light. And if we have a big baggage of vasanas, then it's very difficult to, carry that and then travel and then find the appropriate body to exhaust and so on, or we may find the worst ever body and so on. So that's why, minimizing the attachment, like we saw in the third sloka, and raga, dvesha, likes and dislikes, all these things actually, more we have, the travel becomes difficult. So we'll have to manage that. Travel light. Pack the best. When we travel, all our good deeds and virtues, they are only going to carry in the part of this subtle body, the good vasanas. So we'll have to work towards in terms of packing that so that, we will be able to have a smooth travel. When we are here, others are also actually have to travel, right? At some time or other. So in whatever way we can help them to be happy and share this knowledge and make others also happy, and then hence make them also realize the first 3 bullets and make their life the travel also lighter. Then we are doing our part while living here. And of course, knowing this, we have to enjoy this journey, right? His divine is there everywhere and he will take care of it. And in that aspect, actually, if we live now, then our journey also will be pleasant. And how do we learn more about this journey? And more we study the scriptures and more a lot of details are given in various other Upanishads and all that, about this journey. But that way, Bhagavad Gita is so nice that, is pulling all pieces from different Upanishads and, part of Vedas and all that, and giving it in a canned form. In these 3 slokas, he has given about the journey. And whereas if we have to dig into Upanishads and all that, of course, it gives a lot more details, but it need so. But our journey, can be made better if we know more and more and about this journey, and by studying our scriptures and learning and so on. So I thought, these are all some of the things what we can implement, whatever is one or two or three we can implement and enjoy the journey so that, enjoy this life so that our journey can be pleasant. That will be useful. Okay. All right. That completes when we are on time. I did not prepare any topic for Mananam for one major reason. The topic what we discussed last time, I'll take just 2 more minutes. The topic what we discussed last time is very, very important topic. And lot of you actually has responded. I really, really appreciate. And you have gone through, I can imagine the kind of effort what each one of you put into reflect and then share also. And I'm so glad that actually you all did this, and I'm so glad you all liked it also. It's a very important topic. It talks about journey, what we are talking about, so on, and how to prepare ourselves and so on. So I'm not giving any more topic for this week because I would like others who have not responded, please do reflect and share if you can. If not, at least go through all the sharings of what others have done, and please read that. And if you have any questions, you can then ask them directly, or text me or call me anytime. And so it's very nice actually to get a grasp of what others have shared in line with what now we studied in 7, 8, 9. So that's why I'm not giving the topic. All right. So with that, actually, I had this meditation, but we'll see. We'll do that next time. Before I close, any questions or comments, please?